So what we're covering today is the customization of your templates in Home Inspector Pro. So this is all going to be done in the desktop version of the Home Inspector Pro program, and just customizing your templates for use as part of your day-to-day inspections. So if you have any questions, feel free to speak up and I can answer them as they come up. But let me go ahead and share my screen. Oops. There. So the Home Inspector Pro program is a template-based system for inspections. And so the templates within Home Inspector Pro are the basis that it's used for all your inspections. And within Home Inspector Pro, there are 3 different types of files that you're going to deal with on a regular basis. The first is a template. And a template contains all the items that make up your inspections. So it's your library of comments, it's the framework of your inspection, like the different items and overall topics that are covered, as well as the subtopics, and then the library of comments. In addition, it also will include the report settings, so the look and feel of your reports, the order of the reports, and just the basics that actually make up the basis of your inspections. A template does not contain any customer specific information, so no findings that are specific to a given customer, no data about a customer at all, no photos are stored with the actual inspection itself, with the template itself. The next type of file is an inspection, and an inspection is based on a template, and actually an inspection contains the snapshot of the template as it existed when the inspection was created. So in a way, every inspection is a backup of your template because it's a snapshot in time of the template as it existed at the point when that inspection was created. But the inspection is your file as the inspector, where you collect all your information, so your comments and narratives, as well as any photos that are taken during the inspection, videos, and the basics of what actually makes up your working document as an inspector. And an inspection is an HZF file, and you see those when you go to save inspection or open inspection, you'll have your HZF files. And it is a standalone file, and it contains everything that is specific for that given inspection, all stored in one contained file. You don't send it to a customer, it's your file, it's your working file, you keep it. And if you were to send it to a customer, there's no way that they can open it up unless they actually install Home Inspector Pro. And even then, it wouldn't have your information on it because it wouldn't have your license. The third file is a inspection report, and the inspection report is a PDF file that's created when you actually go to generate report. That allows you to specify what sections are included. It is the output of the inspection. The PDF files are encrypted, so they are not modifiable by agents or clients or yourself. And they are, for an analogy, is you could look at like the inspection file is if you're writing something up in Word, it is your Word document. Generating the report, the PDF output is the equivalent of what comes out of the printer. And so it's the final product that is actually sent to the customer. By default, every report that comes out of Home Inspector Pro is a PDF. There is also, as part of the cloud service or uploading to ISN or HIP Office or NextInspect, there is also the HTML version of the report, which is exactly the same content that appears in your PDFs. It's just in a format that displays in a web browser versus in a PDF. But it is the same content and the same basic structure. So what we're covering today is how to edit your templates and customize those. So you can access any template that is available in the system by going to Open Template in the toolbar. And this gives you a list of all the templates that are included with the program. Any modifications that you make to the templates and have saved under a different file name are also going to be listed here. So you'll see I have a number of other ones that are listed here. We do also have additional templates that are available to download from our website under the message boards. And you may, if you're working with a franchise or another inspector, they may provide you with a template file. The actual template files, if you need to get access to those, on Windows, if you the easiest way to get to those is if you right click on the Home Inspector Pro icon, you can go to Open File Location, and this will open up a new window. And in the data folder, you'll have all the .tpz files, and tpz files are your Home Inspector Pro templates. People will ask, is there's a number of templates in here that may not apply. Like there's a Spanish template, there's a French template, there's Texas. If you're not in Texas, those may not apply. You can delete those out of here. Just keep in mind that the next time you run an update, they're going to be put back, and we may change that in the future. You can delete any template out of here with the exception of the template actually titled default template.tpz. Don't delete that template because it's basically a fallback template. So in case everything goes wrong, it can open up that template. So you can delete any of the template files in here except the .tpz file. If you're using a Mac computer, the files are in the same location, but they're in your documents folder. You'll have your Home Inspector Pro folder, but the data is in the same location. So the most common template that people will use on a day-to-day basis and use as the basis for their inspections is the default template. So we're going to go ahead and start with that and click open. One thing to keep in mind with making changes in the Home Inspector Pro program, we can go through and make all the changes we want in here. Until we actually save the template, those changes are not going to be saved. So you can go through, delete everything, and redo everything in a template. And if you don't save your template and close out of Home Inspector Pro, nothing changed. So everything that is specific to a template is going to be accessible through the menus at the top of the program. And that's going to be accessible between the report settings menu and the photos menu. All of these menu items at the top are the different areas of your inspection. And so, for example, if I go to outside house, you'll see that there are then sections below there that cover the individual actual topics of your reports. One thing to keep in mind is that the top level menu items, so like general information, structure, outside house, utilities, and so on, those don't actually appear on the report. Those are there just for organization on the desktop. You also won't see those on the mobile device. They're only showing on the desktop, and they're just there to organize different items on the desktop itself. When you're looking at the actual items that are in the menu, for example, like grounds, exterior areas, garage, these are the items that are going to be the top level menu items you see on your report. And these are also the sections that you're going to see on the mobile device. So I'm going to go into grounds. And you'll see it going across the top, there are tabs that cover individual topics. And the idea is that each tab covers one subtopic underneath, in this case, grounds. So we have driveway, walkway, and this is a good example of a common view that you'll see within the Home Inspector Pro program. In the upper portion, we have what's called a selection panel. And a selection panel is for information about what you're inspecting. So it's going to be things like materials, capacities, locations, manufacturers, any information about the topic that we're inspecting, in this case, driveway and walkway. And so it's the materials that make that up. For a selection panel to be, for the entries to be selected, you click on it once and it's highlighted, and that's going to appear in the report. If you unselect it, it's not going to appear. So we can pick gravel driveway noted, stepstone sidewalk noted, and that's what's going to appear in the report under the material section for the driveway and walkway. Now, generally within Home Inspector Pro, if you double click on something, that allows you to modify it. So if I wanted to change this to, say, brick stepstone sidewalk noted, I can make that change, and that's what's going to appear there. The lower portion is what's called a damage panel. And a damage panel is where you're actually collecting information or observations of the condition of what you're inspecting. So in this example, the condition of the driveway and walkway. And you'll see this window is going to be divided up into either 2 or 3 parts. This far right-hand column may not be showing depending on the setting in your template. That's where any photos that are assigned to this panel are going to be showing here. But the first column, the largest one, you have a library of comments. And this is the template library for driveway and walkway condition. And so you're able to choose a comment from here, 1 or more. You can pick multiple items. And then to the right of that, there is a section where it has black and red. And this part's divided up into 2 sub areas. Basically, you take a comment from the left-hand side and mark it as black, and this moves it into the black or body of the report. And this is the column on the right is inspection specific. So when you're actually doing an inspection, your comments for that specific job and that is inspection is going to be showing right there. If we highlight it on the left-hand side and mark it as red, red is going to include it in the body and the summary of the report. So you're able to choose whether it's going to be the body only or the summary. If you modify the comments on the right-hand side, so in the driveway walkway, if we were to modify that under the black section, changes we make here are only going to be saved to the actual inspection. They're not going to be saved permanently with the template because this is inspection specific. You can use the move up and move down buttons to change the order of items that are in this section by using, so you can change those. The double arrows also moves it from the body down to the summary, and you can move it back, vice versa. So on the left-hand side, though, you have your library of comments, and this is where you're going to be choosing your comments from. Directly to the left of that, there you'll see 5 checkboxes. These are what are called ratings, and ratings allow you to designate overall what the overall condition of this topic is. And keep in mind is that the ratings checkboxes apply overall. They don't apply to a specific comment. So you can't say that this comment is going to be acceptable, whereas this comment is going to be a safety issue. They are overall for the driveway and walkway condition. Now you'll see the text of those is cut off. If you go to report settings and ratings, this allows you to make changes to the ratings. This also shows you the full name. And you'll see to the right, there's an option for rating icons. And so there's a checkbox at the top that says use rating icons instead of rating names. Since we have the icons in place and that checkbox is enabled, it's going to display on the report the actual icon instead of the text label that we have here. Now, if you want to use the text options, you can still include ratings in the report, but have this option for use rating icons unchecked. And instead, it'll have 5 checkboxes, and it'll have a check mark under whichever one you've selected, and it'll have this text as the heading above it. We usually recommend, if you are using the text ratings, that you limit these down to about 5 or 6 characters. Otherwise, they'll start to wrap. And so for longer words like acceptable, it's going to be broken up into 2 or 3 words, and it doesn't look as good. And if you want to disable ratings, you could just uncheck include ratings in report.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
Hey, I noticed there was pictures there on the ratings. Will that show up on the rating section? So instead of the text acceptable, it'll show the image as well, or?
Correct. And actually, I was just going to show that is if at any point you can take a look at what the report's going to look like by clicking on generate report. And so I have grounds selected. I'm just going to give it a title of test. We can see what that looks like. The icons that are there are actually, those are the ones that ship with the program itself. We do also, let's see, view and page. And so if we go down to the ground section, so I had checked, I forget what that means, but yeah, so it shows the actual icon there to the left of the comment. And if you select just a single one, they will also show in the summary. And people will often, in their introduction document, have a key that designates what those icons mean. Or even if you're just using the regular text icons, you'll have one in there. Like I said, is that we have the icon set that is included with the template is available to use. You can also go to flaticon.com, which you see we have, and there's 6.6 million icons there. We have a royalty-free license to that site. And so if you search there, you can search for any number of icons, and they actually do them in sets. You can send us the link for the icons you want, and we will get them for you at no cost. And I just put that in the link in the chat. So that way, if you want to choose different icons for the ratings or the section icons, you can you can find additional ones at no cost to you. And just to show off what that looks like, so that's with the rating icons. If we uncheck the use rating icons and generate the report again, this is what it looks like without. And people were going down on the amount of use of the rating icons in the past, or ratings in general, just because they reminded people more of the older checklist or carbon type reports, and so those are becoming less common. People started using more now that they're more icon based. So yeah, if we have that just using the rating text, it has the actual checkboxes and it puts the text in here. And you'll see is this is why you should want to limit it to 5 or 6 characters so it doesn't wrap. And most people would put in an abbreviation like A for acceptable, M for monitor, SI for safety issue, and so on, so that they can have it abbreviated, and then they'd have a key that in their introduction that designates what those abbreviations mean. So it's up to you whichever you want to use. And if you disable it, then this section of stuff would be, or this set of stuff would be gone, and your comments would be all the way to the left. So gives you the flexibility to choose how you want.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
I have a quick question on that. So yeah, I'm preferring to use the words instead of the icons. Are you going to cover how to edit the those pages to show that key? That's one piece that I was having troubles doing.
Yeah, we can take a look at that here in a sec. So as part of your library of comments, you have the library that's shown here, and the default template is based on the international and national standards of practice. So it's going to have information in there for both like heavy snow loads and lanais and sun portions. So there's going to be a wide range of stuff that's covered in there, and it's going to cover more information than you're probably going to have in your service area, because you have a relatively limited service area, and you, unless you're covering a bizarre area that has all those conditions, you're probably going to want to limit down the comments to just the items that are specific to your area. To make changes to your comments, you can click on the Edit Comments button in the toolbar. And on the left-hand side, you'll see there's now buttons here instead of the checkboxes and the empty area. So what a lot of people do is they'll go through and just remove all the items that don't apply. So you can pick one or multiple items and click on Delete, and that allows you to delete those comments out. And then you can add in any comments by clicking on Add. And for just the most basic comments, so say oil stains on driveway. You'll notice if I make a typo, it highlights it in red. That is the spell check. You can right click on it and it gives you a correction. You may also, if something's highlighted in blue, it's going to highlight any grammatical mistakes. So in this case, it's a repetition. But that'll allow you to have any basic grammar checking in there as well. And so as a very basics, we can just hit OK, and this adds that comment in. You'll see the comments do scroll left to right on the desktop, but we highlight this comment and we can then use the move up button to move it higher up in the list. Now, in the past, inspectors would build up a elaborate library of every conditions that they see, and they would curate this and build a giant library that covers every situation. In the last 3, 4, 5 years, on the mobile devices especially, the voice to text functionality has gotten so good that we actually usually recommend inspectors start limiting the number of comments that they include in their library of comments, unless you're citing specific code or technical details. For the given area that you serve, most houses probably have very similar issues. And so kind of the rule of thumb is that if there's a comment in here that you don't use once a week, maybe once a month, you may not want to include it in your library. Because the stuff that you're seeing every day, you want to have it in your library and sort it so that the most common stuff is at the top and working your way down in priority. But for most stuff that you're not using at least once a month, it may be better to dictate it in on site. We've done quite a bit of testing with the mobile version in loud situations, and unless you have like a very heavy accent or speech impediment that could cause problems, the voice to text is actually very, very good, and it is quicker to hit the pencil icon and dictate that in versus searching for a specific comment, because there is a search on both the desktop and mobile, searching for a comment and then having to modify it for the unique situation of what this probably is. It's quicker just to dictate that in. Now, you can build up a large library if you'd like, and there's no real limit on the number of comments you have on here, but most people find that it saves them a significant amount of time to just keep the most common things in their library. Now you see we have the comment for the one I put in for oil stains. In addition to the basics of adding in your comment, you have the ability to add a note, and you'll see that adds in between some double square brackets. It has the word note. Anything in between those double square brackets is not going to appear on the report. It's going to be visible to you. And so I'm just going to put in something short like oil. And you'll see once we add that in, it's highlighted in, and that text is blue, so it stands out against the just the actual text. Now, for something short like that, it's kind of redundant to have a note there to call that out, what the meaning is, because you can read the entire comment. But you may have longer comments that are multiple sentences. And keep in mind, if you're using a mobile device, and especially a phone, the comments may be longer than what's going to appear on the phone, so it may cut it off at a period. So it can be helpful to have a shorthand hint as to what this comment means. Especially if you're working with multiple inspectors, this can also be helpful because they didn't write the comments, and so they may not be as familiar with the comment text as you are. The other thing this could be helpful for is that if you have multiple comments that just define the severity of the comments, you may have 3 comments describing something, and it's going to be minor, moderate, and severe. And the only difference is the severity of the issue. Having the shorthand text allows you to put in like minor cracking, moderate cracking, severe cracking. And that way they can see quickly the difference between the 3 of them without having to read the entire text of the comment. I'm going to actually go ahead and go to a different section under structure and foundation, for example. We'll go to foundation walls.
Are you there, Dan?
Yeah.
Hey, I was curious on that oil staining. I noted that it's noted in the report, correct? But what's the recommendation? I mean,
I'm just using that as an example. Most people, it depends upon what you would inspect. Whether you're just calling something out, you could include a longer description that says of how to resolve it or what to do about it. I'm just using that as an example.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm lazy and didn't want to type out a full sentence or a full description. So
10-4.
So we're going to go to structure and foundation, for example, and we have comments here. And so some of the other options you have here, one, you could change the formatting of the text, just highlight it, and you can mark it as bold. You can italicize and underline words. You could also change the color of the individual words. This allows you to specify the coloring of those actual items. So I'm going to go ahead and actually set that as blue, and that text is going to show as that alternate color. And then one of the other options you have here is you can add in links. Now, you've always been able to copy and paste just a regular URL into your report, and it'll be clickable when the report is generated. But if we were to actually paste something in here, say the link I had put in before, this is the text that would actually appear in the report. One of the newer features you can do is you could, for any given option, for more info, so we can highlight that text. And I didn't put enough of a space there. There we go, because there should be a space between a period and a word. I can highlight that and click on link, and then I can copy and paste the link in here. And so now that this link is going to be, or this text is going to be a clickable link that appears on the report. And so it looks more professional, looks better than having the trunk and the actual technical link in there. And one of the things can be very beneficial. We recommend inspectors, if there's additional information that you could provide to the customers, including links is a good way to do this. for a couple reasons. I mean, one, you could include links to outside sources. So say, for example, you're documenting like asbestos contamination or suspected asbestos contamination. You could then include a link to like the EPA page on asbestos, or if you have a state specific page about that. But one of the other things you can do is you can also include links to articles on your website, because every inspector should have a website they have that contains the basic information about you and offering scheduling and that type of stuff. But for a number of reasons, it can be beneficial to have content on your website that is specific for your customers. For a couple reasons. One is you can include a lot of information and background and helpful information for your customers in the body of your report. But the downside to that is your report is a static snapshot in time, because once it goes out the door, there's no making changes to it or providing additional information. If you provide links to articles that are on your website, you can always continue updating those articles to add additional information. And so it becomes a continued resource for your customers. So it benefits your customers to have additional information. That also keeps your reports from getting extremely long, whereas you can provide ancillary information that there's no concern for length. The other benefit is it helps the ranking of your website. And one of the cores of search engine optimization and ranking of websites is that the information is unique to your website. So you're actually writing it versus copy and pasting it from some other source. But it's also relevant to the topic of what your website is about. So information about home maintenance, home repairs, the inspections, real estate purchasing, any of the stuff that's tangentially related to the services that you offer in the industry you're in. Adding more unique content will help the ranking for your site. So things about asbestos contamination or mold, or even just maintenance things, is like how to repair an oil stain on a driveway. You could include links to that information, and it's going to help your ranking. And also because the content from your article is going to be linking to your site, those links do help your the ranking of your site, because it's somebody coming to your site from a related source to a source that's considered an authority, or at least the linking designates you as an authority on this subject. So in general, it helps the ranking of your site, which helps you generate more business. One of the other options here, you'll see, is the option to link photos. And it was covered in the last training. You can download from the Home Inspector Pro website. There is, let's see, under the download section on the Home Inspector Pro website. So I'm on the website under, oh, I'm not logged in. There's the downloads. You'll have the Home Inspector Pro graphics library for Windows and Mac. And what this does is this installs a library of the InterNACHI library of graphics into the Home Inspector Pro program in the photo library folders. Let's see. Going back to the Home Inspector Pro folder, there's the photo library. And this contains a library of all the InterNACHI graphics that have been licensed by Home Inspector Pro for Home Inspector Pro users to use. And this includes tons of information, diagrams that give additional information to add to your reports. So one of the things you could do is you can link a photo. And I'm actually going to do this with a different comment just because of reason. So I can go to link photo, and it allows me to choose a photo from the photo library. So I can go to foundation and settlement and cracks and pick this image, and you'll see the image is showing here. If I were to highlight, once I hit OK, you'll see there's the little picture icon there. If I use this comment, it's going to automatically add in that diagram just by using that comment. That diagram will be added to the report. So you can have photos that are linked to a given comment to give additional information and context of what you're describing in your image, in your comment. And one of the things that's beneficial to this is you don't have to have those images on every device. So you don't have to have those images actually stored on your mobile device, taking up space. The linking is done on the desktop side. So when the inspection comes back from the mobile device to the desktop, it automatically links the photos for you. One of the other options we have here is, so you may have comments that are long and give plenty of information. So we're a California-based company. Every foundation in California has cracks in it because the ground is moving, so the house is cracked. And so you're going to have a large comment. Large cracks were observed. Contact a structural engineer. All that type of stuff with disclaimers and everything. If we were to have a photo, and I'm going to go ahead and just add a photo in here. Inspection photos, and we're going to pretend that's a foundation. If this photo is assigned to the foundation wall section, you'll see that photo is there. Excuse me. I could highlight this comment and mark it in red. And for the caption on that photo, I could choose that comment to be included here. And then it's going to be too long to be included below the photo. So I could trim it down, and that's what's going to show. The alternative is you can go in and add a comment in, and there's a button here for add caption. And when you click on that, this adds the word caption in between those double square brackets. And so we can put in text here. So cracks noted in foundation. And what happens is this is a comment that I add in, and it actually, you'll see it adds it to the end, and it has a little C icon. I just put it in there, and I don't actually ever use this comment. What happens is whether on the mobile or the desktop, if this photo is taken or assigned to the foundation wall section where I added that caption in, that's now going to be a option to choose just by the fact that this photo was taken in this section. So it allows you to predefine captions to use on your photos. Just by the fact of, say on the mobile, you're in the foundation wall section, you take a photo, this caption is going to be able to be selected with no other action required. So it allows you to automate some of the commonly captioned items that you add in. Okay. Let's see. Pick a different one. You can do the same thing with the linked photos. You can do the same thing for linked PDFs. So with the example of like potential asbestos contamination, if you wanted to, you could say have a PDF that you have from the EPA that outlines information about asbestos contamination. You can link that PDF to that comment about asbestos. And when you use that comment, it's going to automatically insert on the following page the PDF of what you're describing. So you can add additional information, but only if you specifically use a comment that's referring to it. So it gives you some more flexibility there. Another option, you may have comments where there are going to be variations to them, but it's minor variations of common things. Common one is like directions. So on this comments of normal settlement on east side of building. And so if I add that, or if I modify that, so I would either have to, for every comment, go in and modify the word east, or have 4 different variations of east, north, south, east, and west. An alternative, what you can do is you can use what are called lists. And so go to create/edit lists, and I already have it in here, but I'm going to go ahead and add it again. Actually, a better example of this, let me go ahead and do that instead. People will under, say, for example, inside house and kitchen. So for the various appliances in the kitchen, they'll want to make note of the manufacturer of the appliance. And now if we wanted to, we could add in a line that says, like, for the dishwasher, manufacturer, Amana. And I'm gonna be lazy about this. Oops. Copy that. But so I can do like Amana And then I would add another one in for GE and so on. Whirlpool. So I can add that in, but it's going to add in a number of lines that you see here for each variation. What you can do, and it helps if I spell manufacturer, right? So I'm going to go ahead and delete those out. So instead, what I can do is I can use the list functionality. So if I double click on this, fix the word there. So instead of having the word Amana here, I can go to create/edit lists and add a list in. And for most of the appliances in a kitchen, it's the same like 12 manufacturers that make most of the appliances that you see in a kitchen. So I'm going to go ahead and kitchen manufacturers, spell it right here, and hit OK. And so what I can then do is on the right hand side, I can add in each of those variations. So Amana, GE, and Whirlpool. So let's do those three. And what this allows me to do is instead of having to have a separate entry for each manufacturer, I can pick that option as a list to insert. And what happens is, so it has a drop down now. And so if I highlight this, and you'll see there's a little clipboard looking icon. If I highlight this and click on black, when I double click on that, I can choose the value that I want to actually have appear. And lists are treated just like words. An example that you can see is, say, for example, you're inspecting a fancy house that has all custom German appliances that aren't in your list. You can click on the flatten list button, and that just converts it to text. And you can just type in whatever you want for the comment for this one-off example. But for the ones that are common, you can just use that list. The other benefit for this is if you start seeing, now I'm seeing a lot of LG appliances, you can always go to create/edit lists and add a comment and add in LG, and that updates the list going forward. The other benefit for this is these are reusable. And so while this is in the dishwasher section, I can highlight that comment and go to copy in the toolbar. And then I can go to garbage disposal and paste and go to microwave and paste. And so I can reuse that comment in each of here with that list embedded. And if I make a change to that list in under by double clicking and clicking create/edit list, or you can always go to report settings and create/edit list. If you add that manufacturer to here, so same sort of thing as like Samsung, that is applied for everywhere that list is used. So you only have to modify one list instead of having to go to every one of the tabs and update those entries. So it can save a lot of time. Also on the mobile devices, by default, when you go into a comment that has a list, it's going to just pop up and ask you which entry do you want to select, because the default is it assumes you're editing this comment, you're coming in here to pick a value. And so that way it can speed up a lot of that entry instead of having to select multiple entries and have to scroll through a lot of items. You could just pick it from a list and have it there. Okay. So the next thing to take a look at, so within the subsections, you're going to have tabs going across the top. And for example, under outside house and grounds, back where we were, you're going to have photos that are, you'll have tabs going through here, grading, vegetation. Most of that stuff's pretty common. There may be tabs where it's information that you're not going to collect or is not applicable for the given inspection property you're inspecting. For example, main gas valve. You're on a property that does not have gas service. So one option, it depends on how you do your inspections. You may want to note no gas service noted on property. Great. And so the main gas valve section is going to appear with that text below it. But the alternative is if by default within Home Inspector Pro, we usually recommend against deleting stuff unless you're literally never going to use it. Because what happens is, for example, the main gas valve, by default, if you do nothing in the main gas valve section, it's not going to appear. So you only have to make note of it if it actually is applicable to the inspection you're performing. Same thing for like sprinklers or any of those things where they just aren't on the property. Let's not make a mention of it. It's not going to appear. If you note it, it will appear. So that way you don't have to maintain separate templates that have specific combinations of items. And you don't have to go through and delete stuff if they're not going to apply. Literally do nothing, they won't appear. To make changes to the actual structure of your template, you would make those changes under Edit Template. And so when you click on Edit Template, you'll see on the left-hand side, we have the same sections that we have listed here. And you'll see there's folder icons for the top level items, so like structure, outside house, and so on. Just like anywhere else in the program, if you want to modify something, you can double click on it. So outside building, for example, and you can make those changes. Keep in mind is that the items that you see on the left-hand side here, the order they're listed here is the order the sections are going to be for collection. This does not necessarily reflect the order that you're going to have the report appear as, because you often will have the inspection report be in a separate order from the actual order that you physically collect the information. This section under Edit Template is intended for how you collect the information about the property. To change the order of things, you can drag and drop them. You can also drag and drop between the folders and just put them into whatever order would be appropriate for your inspection. Now, just like with the tabs within a section, it's best, unless you're literally never going to use something, you don't need to remove it from your template. You can just literally do nothing and they're not going to appear in the report. A good example is pool. You may have people who are like in northern Michigan or Wisconsin where it freezes a chunk of the year, and so people don't have pools. You may say it's like, I almost never see pools, and so I don't want to include it in my template. And we get that question once in a while: is how do I remove the pool section? You could highlight it and click on remove and remove it from your template, but keep in mind, removing it, it's gone. If say 98 out of 100 properties you inspect don't have a pool, great. But for those 2 that do have a pool, you then run into the problem is you either have to have a separate template where you've maintained it that has a pool, and so you have 2 completely different templates, or you've deleted it and now you have to figure out a way to collect that information because it's not in your template. You have to recreate that. No, it's a heavier lift to recreate it. Whereas if you literally do nothing for those 98, it's not a problem. Then for the 2, you have that section available. So we generally recommend, unless you're literally never going to use that section, don't delete it. And the one exception to that is in our default template, there is a section in here titled Earthquake Report. We are a California-based company, and so since day one, we've had an earthquake report. This is pretty specific to California, so you can highlight it, click on remove, and that'll go away. But it's specific, it's hard coded to the program to use that section in the default template. So one of the other things that we commonly get questions on is people want to go through and populate their template with every possible combination of bathroom and bedroom that they would commonly see. And so they'll want to come in here and, for example, have like 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms and a dining room, living room, family room, den, all of those options. You can do that. So for example, for bedrooms, you can highlight that and click on copy and do like bedroom 2, and then do the same thing, create bedroom 3 and so on. But we strongly recommend against doing that. Instead, just maintain 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and 1 interior areas. And often what inspectors will do is they'll, for example, double click and rename the bedroom to like master bedroom, because every house has, I think they're required to have at least 1 bedroom or a sleeping area, and maybe a master bathroom. And on the mobile device, what you're able to do is, especially, but also if you're doing the inspections on the desktop, for a given inspection, you can come in here and just copy and duplicate for a given inspection, duplicate what you need. On the mobile device, it's even easier. You can literally tap and hold on any section for half a second, and it gives you the option to give it a name and duplicate it. So literally, when you show up on site, you just duplicate out what you actually need for that given inspection. So 3 bedroom, 2 bath, it literally takes a minute or 2 to tap and hold on master bedroom, make bedroom 2, do it again, bedroom 3, and then do for the bathroom, do it again and create like bathroom 2. And the reason we recommend against doing that is, while in the short term it may seem like it saves time to just have like 6 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms, what we often see, and I see this in data that comes across that's been converted, guys will go in and they'll maintain their template, and it's like they add a comment to bedroom 1, great. And so for example, is like you're doing an inspection of a property and there are cigarette burns in all the carpets, and it's a 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom house. And so you added that comment to bedroom 1, and then what I'll see is they'll have bedroom 2 is basically identical to bedroom 1, great. Bedroom 3 is mostly the same, but there doesn't have all those changes. Bedroom 5 is even less similar, and bedroom 6 has a completely different set of comments in it. And it's no fault of the inspector, it's just that they are not, they want to maintain it, but they don't remember either through time or whatever it is, to make, if they make a change in one room, they need to make it in all 6 rooms. And so what happens is, with that example of like carpet with cigarette burns, is what's in bedroom 1. Once you get to like bedroom 5, you come in there, you can't find the comment, you're searching through it, and you use the search at the top of the window to search for burn or cigarette or whatever. You're not finding it. You then have to add the comment in, you have to dictate it in, and the comment's going to end up being different for than the comments that are in bedroom 1. Whereas if you just maintain 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom, you just duplicate out what you need on site, and for a fact that they're all going to be identical. And so that consistency, while it does take a little, like a minute or 2 at the beginning of each job, in the long run, it saves you a significant amount of time, and gives you more consistency to your reports and the comments that are available. So Julie, you had mentioned the introduction document. The common way that people will do that is, you'll see if you go into the Home Inspector Pro folder, there is the Documents Vault folder, and this contains a number of documents that are linked to your actual inspection. One of them that is here is titled Introduction Document, and it's a Word document. And so you can open up this Word document in Word or WordPad or whatever it is, and this gives you a Word document that allows you to make changes to it. And this is actually the same one that's used in the Introduction to Home Inspector Pro. You don't have to use this one. This is just intended as a guide. You can write up whatever you want in whatever program. Some people do it in Google Docs, some people do it in Word. But you can go through, and for like your library of your images that are shown in here, you can make a key either of the images or of the abbreviations, and you can do an introduction letter. There's any number of things that you can do. The important thing is, once you go through and make changes, you need to then save this or export this as a PDF, because Home Inspector Pro doesn't know what a Word document is. But if you go to, usually, at least in Word, and if you're using WordPad, usually you can go to File and Print, and you'll have the option of a printer for Microsoft Print to PDF. And so you could print it to a PDF that's on your document. And I'll just go ahead and do this as an example. I'm going to print it. And so I'm going to throw it on my desktop. And example intro. Yeah. Typing is not great today. And so that creates a PDF I have on my desktop. So I have that document there. What I can then do is I can go to, within Home Inspector Pro, go to Insert PDF Documents, and you'll see with the default template, there's that one's already there. You can click on Remove Document, and then I can go to Add Document, and this allows me to select a PDF file, so I can go to my desktop and do. Oh, there it is. Example intro. And so you'll see it adds it to the right hand side, and it's set to print at the end of the report. So you can drag and drop this to maybe be after the cover page. So this will appear directly as the next page after the cover page, so page 2. And then there's a checkbox here to save to template. And if you check save to template, this will copy that PDF from the desktop and save it in the Documents Vault folder, and that way it'll be automatically applied for every inspection. You might also check ignore page margins, because if you don't ignore the page margins, it's going to squish it to fit within the borders of the report. If you did it as an 8.5 by 11 normal letter page, you probably can ignore the page margins, so that way it matches the actual page size. You can also bookmark it. By default, it's not going to have a label on the left-hand side like kitchen or whatever it is. So you can give it a title like introduction. And we can take a look at what this looks like by going to generate report. One thing to highlight is I had mentioned under edit template, the order that is there is the order for collection. When you go to generate report, or go to report settings and section colors and print order, this is the same window. You can highlight, this is the section where it lists the order that sections are going to appear. You can change the order by highlighting a section and using the move up or move down button to change the order that sections are going to appear here. One of the things that's important to pay attention to is the print checkbox. Any section that is checked to print is going to appear in the report. So if we check off any number of these things, they'll manually appear. One option you have, though, and something to get in the habit of, is on the right-hand side, there's a button for select sections with comments, ratings, or photos. And so if you click on this button, it checks the box for any section where you've entered comments, ratings, or photos, and unselects those sections that you have not. So for example, pool, I didn't do anything. It's going to automatically uncheck that section for print. So I can go ahead and hit close. It already has a file name because I had previously saved this once. Save, give it a second. Now the PDF introduction I made, I didn't make any changes to it, so it's identical to the previous one. But you'll see on the left-hand side, there's an entry here for introduction. But if I scroll down, the next page is the report introduction. Same one as before, but that it's a different document. But I can also click on it on the left-hand side, and this allows me to jump from like introduction to kitchen. And so you can jump back and forth between those items. So as you go through and make changes to your template, the system does not automatically save the changes for the template. And that's by design, is we want you to be explicit about the changes you make to the template, because once you make a change to the template, that change is permanently saved with the template. So at a regular interval, either just after a given amount of time, or maybe after, if you're doing a lot of changes after every section, you'll want to go to save template to make those changes. And by default, it's going to have whatever template you're currently working on is going to be highlighted. You could just hit save, that changes it. Keep in mind is that if you save over an existing template, for example, a default template, it's going to overwrite that template and it makes those changes permanent. The whatever changes or things were in the previous template that you're overwriting are gone. What we usually recommend people do, and you can see examples here, if you change the file name here, say for example, put your name at the end of it or your company name or whatever it is, changing the file name is the equivalent of doing a save as. And so if I change that, now I hit save. If I then go to save template again, you'll see that template is now under a different name and the previous template is unmodified. And this way you're going to be saving it under your own name and not affecting the previous version. There's also a checkbox in the lower right-hand corner. And you'll see if I highlight the default template, the one that was currently set as the actual default, you see it's grayed out. That indicates that this is currently the default template that when I launch the program, this is the template that's going to open up as if you're starting a new inspection or to make continuous changes. We can highlight the template that I made changes to. It's now available to check. I can check the box to set this as the default, and you'll see it's now grayed out. So the next time I actually launch the Home Inspector Pro program, it's going to open up this template to make changes or to start a new inspection. If you're making a lot of changes, especially when you're starting out, you may go through and delete out a ton of stuff or rename a lot of stuff, or if you're just going to redo your template, you can, it's often a good idea to do some sort of versioning. For example, you could put in like the dates just as you make changes, And then, so you made change, I made changes yesterday. I could go through and I could change the date to 17. And that way I have multiple versions of the template and I have a way to tell when I made those changes just by looking here. Grand scheme of things right now, space is cheap. And so as long as you understand what's in a template that you made changes, if you make a mistake and say delete everything, delete your entire bedroom section, and then for some reason save the template without thinking about it, you can then roll back to a previous version of this template. This is especially helpful if you're working with multiple inspectors. That way you may have the collaboration of multiple people. If need be, you can roll back to a previous version for comparison. And so that gives you more flexibility to roll back to a previous version of whatever template you're working on. So. Okay, so that about covers it for today. Were there any questions? Okay, so tomorrow's training is on the email and contract templates within Home Inspector Pro Office. And then there'll be additional trainings on Tuesday of next week. But if you do have any questions, let us know and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
You bet.